Okay, we'll try and get Dr. Rama back, but my colleague Runjun is also now joining us and she tracks developments coming in from the Health Ministry. Runjun, this has been a much needed move for India at a time when parents were extremely anxious of children going back to school and they being extremely vulnerable. Let's go back a little in time. Talk to us about the trial data that we have as far as this vaccine is concerned.
Firstly, Ridhima, while Covaxin for children has gotten approval from the Drug Controller General of India, what would be more important is for us to wait for the guidelines and recommendations for children vaccine. That's when we'll have an idea as to when children or adolescents will start getting the vaccine. I say this because remember, Xyrus also is a vaccine that has gotten approval for 12 plus children. But as far as guidelines are concerned, that's what is the wait for. The main wait really is for the recommendations to come from Entagi. Once these recommendations come, then NEGVAC is going to thoroughly examine them, and then the government and the health ministry, of course, are going to okay the recommendations and the guidelines, and then only will we know when can children start getting the vaccine administered. So that will be a big, in a sense, wait now for Entagi to come up with the recommendations. The Covaxin now becomes the second vaccine in the country to get the approval from the Drug Controller General of India as far as children or 12 plus adolescents in the country are concerned. Remember, as far as Covaxin is concerned, the trial, in fact, by the company, the pharma company Bharat Biotech, was done on 2 plus children. But this particular approval that has come through for Covaxin has come in for children between the age groups of 12 to 18. Interestingly, the rest of the data is being examined by the drug controller, and very soon the hope really is that Entagi and the expert group will give some sort of guidelines. Till now, what the expert panel has maintained is that first, the vaccine for children will be given to children with comorbidity and then healthy children in somewhere about the first quarter of 2022. But let's keep our fingers crossed, given the fact that now there's Omicron scare also in the country. Many parents have been waiting for this particular approval. Guidelines hopefully soon, Ridhima.
Correct. That's exactly what I was getting to, Runjun, because that's the next question on every parent's mind, that yes, you've got the first hurdle and the first nod coming in, but when do we see them in the market? When do we see a rollout? So you're saying this could still take a bit longer because of the kind of deliberations that could still happen, and this is also coming at a time when people and experts like Dr. Mullayan from Entagi have said that vaccinating children should not be a priority. We can have a wait and watch mode. So could it then take still a bit longer before we see a formal rollout?
Ridhima, this definitely is a step forward. The DCGI, the Drug Controller General of India, giving a go-ahead to Covaxin. Remember, this has been long overdue. Covaxin had, in fact, it's been almost 2 months that Covaxin had submitted the data, the trial data for 2 plus children to the Drug Controller. The Subject Expert Committee, remember, long back had given an approval recommendations to the DCGI. This is what was awaited. The Drug Controller General of India to give a go-ahead, but what he's done now is that he's given a recommendation, in fact an approval for children above the age of 12, not 2 for now, interestingly, but as far as the guidelines are concerned, that is something that we'll have to really wait and watch. Yes, there is a section in the expert panel that has said that, for now there is no need for vaccines for children, but a larger section, in fact, has sort of come up with a method for children. That method will be, of course, made public in the coming few weeks from now, is what I've been given to understand. But essentially, Ridhima, it is going to be children with comorbidities first, with underlying health conditions. Remember, earlier when vaccines for adults also were rolled out, it was adults above the age of 45 plus with underlying health conditions. So this could be similar model we could see in the case of children as well. But of course,
Okay.
those guidelines from the expert panel, once they have to come to the health ministry has to okay it, and only then, remember, vaccines like Covaxin or Zydus that have now gotten approval from the Drug Controller General of India for 12 plus children can be administered in fact, the young kids who now want to go to school.
Absolutely. Runjan, I also want to understand the other aspect, because we have just about over 60% of the entire population vaccinated. There is still a chunk that's not vaccinated. There's the debate of whether we need more platforms as far as vaccines are concerned. For example, mRNA vaccines. Do we have any data to understand how effective the mRNA vaccines are vis-a-vis the ones we have currently in India as far as kids are concerned?
Yes, Udama. In fact, like you pointed out, most of the vaccines in the world that are being administered in children, it started off with mRNA vaccines like Pfizer or Moderna. But as far as India is concerned, we are not, at least at this stage, looking at importing any of those vaccines, considering as far as our vaccine stocks are concerned, both for Covaxin as well as Covishield, we have enough stocks. Remember, we've also started exporting our vaccines through Maitri and even through commercial vaccine programs. Having said that, as far as children are concerned, it has, in fact, if I give you an example of Covaxin, it has shown even better titer values in children than it has in adults. So it is a promising vaccine. That's what the drug controller believes, and which is why that approval also now has come through in case of children. 2 vaccines in India now, Zydus for 12 plus and Covaxin as well for 12 plus. But those guidelines are going to be extremely crucial, Ridhima. As far as children are concerned, remember, many parents have been awaiting this approval, in fact, also guidelines, because now, amidst the Omicron scare, there are several parents and parents association that are writing to schools saying that schools should not be open in a physical mode. So this really has been a concern amongst parents as well as teachers. But the hope is that now, since the Drug Controller General of India has given that much awaited approval to Covaxin, things will move from here on. The hope really is that even guidelines from the expert panel, and this is what, in fact, the government is also saying. And remember, at the health ministry briefing, I asked the ICMR chief that, and he said very soon we can see some movement on that, Ridhima.
Okay, Runjan, thanks for getting us all those details. So that's the big news with which we are closing this show, that there has been a DCGI nod given to Bharat Biotech for their vaccine for children. Now some deliberations will happen and the guidelines will come, but the first hurdle is complete. Hopefully, we can see the rollout and that vaccine being inoculated to our most vulnerable population as of now. I'd like to thank our guest and my colleague Runjan as well. Completely out of time on this edition, slipping into a very short break. Thanks for watching.